Alright, I'll try to get through some more questions real quick. This will be Q&A video number 29. Now, the first question comes from Iago Borges. He asks, could one build muscle using bands only? Now, you got to understand why the body builds muscle in the first place. It's to protect itself. What is it protecting itself from? From the demand that you've imposed. So a better question would be, could you impose enough of a demand with bands only to promote that type of response? I would argue that you can if the resistance is great enough. I'll also say that I don't think you'll build that much muscle, but it'll be better than doing nothing at all. The next question comes from Eduardo Bravo. He wants to know my recommendation for the starting and end point of the reverse grip preacher curl. Starting point, full extension of the elbow. End point, just before the forearm is parallel to the direction of resistance. Keep the constant tension on the muscle. If the goal, however, was to move max weight for whatever reason, then don't go all the way down and risk injury, but rather do go all the way up to where the forearm is parallel to the direction of resistance to allow the muscles to briefly disengage, to allow you to use more weight for more reps. Now, the last three questions come from segason6. The first one being, how wide to recruit the lower lats when doing a pull-up or a pull-down? Now, the short answer is that based on where those muscle fibers are situated on the body, the direction of effort they're most responsible for is that of adduction. So take that how you want to. Now, I will say this, though. You're asking for an objective measurement to influence a subjective outcome. It doesn't work like that. Just because something's supposed to work a certain area doesn't mean that it will. It comes down to your capacity to recruit. If you have the capacity to recruit those fibers, doesn't matter how wide your grip is. If you don't, doesn't matter how wide your grip is. The next question is, what would the reason be for wanting to overload a muscle in its strongest and weakest positions? Now, all things being equal, which they're not, but the reason would be symmetrical development. You're only as strong as your weakest link, and no exercise overloads a muscle throughout its entirety, so you got to pick different tools to overload your muscles at various lengths. Now, one of the reasons that all things are not equal is genetics. So based on your genetics, maybe you don't want to overload a muscle in its strongest and weakest position. You got to find out where your strengths and weaknesses lie and make the best decision for yourself based on that. Now, the last question is, what would the consequences be of rack pulling 1,000 pounds? Like, really? How the fuck do I know? Maybe you break your back, maybe the bar snaps in half, maybe the floor collapses, destroys the foundation of the building that you're in and kills everybody in it. I don't fucking know. I will say this, though. If you can lift that much weight, you probably don't have anything to worry about. If you can't or lift anywhere near it, then you're asking the wrong question. A better question would be how to acquire that type of strength, not what the consequences would be once you have it. Now, whether you like this or not, whether you share this or not, whether you click the fucking button at the bottom of the screen that you're looking at, subscribe to the channel and support me or not, ain't nothing gonna stop me from continuing to provide the absolute best information you're ever gonna find in your lifetime as it relates to training to get the absolute best results. And if you can't respect that, your whole perspective is whack.